What's crack-a-lackin'? Welcome in to My Mind is a Weapon Fantasy Football Show.
Welcome into episode 68, everybody. I am your host, SleezBall. Today's episode will be my running backs week 4 stardom sit-em for every single matchup, guys. And before we dive into it, make sure you smash that thumbs up, hit the like buttons, turn the bell on, hit the subscription. All the support has been absolutely appreciated a ton, guys, across all the platforms, Apple, Spotify, everyone listening as well. I can't thank you guys enough. The journey has been amazing this year. And if you guys want to check out my quarterback stardom sit-em, I just dropped that. All my rankings are out for the week as well. Running back, quarterback, wide receiver, tight end, and defense and kickers. You don't see a lot of that. That is out there as well. And I will be shouting out a couple of my boys here that I stream with as well on stream, showing some information backdrop that they have done behind the scenes to help you guys out. And you guys should support them and follow them as well here. And let's dive into it, guys. So, guys, here is my board for the stardom sit-em running backs for week 4. The top box will be the away team. The bottom box will be the home team. But like I said, before we dive into it here, we're going to take a look back here. It was a rough week for me in the running back stardom sit-ems. This was my tweet before last week. And I had Brian Robinson on stardom. He missed. DeAndre Swift had a very plus matchup. He missed. It was absolutely terrible. Tony Pollard had a plus matchup, supposed to be a smash play. He missed. Zamir White, 20% snaps. I don't know what the hell is going on. He had the Carolina Panthers. That was supposed to be a smash game for him. Even the coach was like, we're going to give him 20 touches. And he did nothing. Zach Charbonnet was a hit. J.K. Dobbins was my top 10. That's why there's a star next to it. I take a top 10 player and put him on a sit-em. Aaron Jones was supposed to have a tough matchup versus the Houston Texans. He popped on them. Devin Singletary had 12 carries for 15 yards until he busted on a broken play and saved his day against the Browns, so I missed there. Javonte Williams, you can drop now. I'm done talking about this guy. And Najee Harris, I missed there by like 1 point. So it was a very, very rough week. 3 for 10 for me on the stardom sit-em running backs. I got to be better next week. That was very bad, guys. But I like to show transparency of my work so you can see the hits and misses. Obviously, you know, my quarterback video was like 8 for 10. You don't get them all right? I really did bad on the running backs this week. Now, these are the pictures that you're going to want to screenshot that I'm going to use here. Make sure you go give my guy Big Draft Energy a follow on Twitter. You could also check out his YouTube as well. Big Draft Energy on YouTube. He does a lot of the research behind the scenes to help you guys, help me out as well. So it takes 1 second. Go to Big Draft Energy's YouTube, Twitter, follow him. He does amazing research that I use for a lot of my videos as well here. So you also want to get this one here too. So this is going to be running backs with the most advantageous matchups for receptions. So these are the teams that allow the most receptions to the running back. So you got Saquon Barkley, Carson Steele, Joe Mixon, or Dameon Pierce, or Cam Akers, whoever's out there. These defenses allow the most receptions to the running back. So Buffalo, New England, Seattle, Washington, Baltimore, Minnesota, and Denver. Now, this is going to be, if you want to capture this screenshot also, this is where running backs with the most advantageous rushing TD opportunities. So these are the defenses that have given up the most rushing touchdowns on the season. That would be the Dallas Cowboys, Devin Singletary, Tony Pollard, Kyron Williams, Zach Moss, Zamir White, Jordan Mason, Chuba Hubbard, Ramondre Stevenson, Saquon Barkley, and DeAndre Swift. So all these defenses allow the 10th most rushing touchdowns in the NFL. Now, we're finally here, setting into the first matchup, Thursday Night Football. As we just talked about, the Dallas Cowboys give up a lot of receptions and a lot of touchdowns to the running backs. So 100%. Devin Singletary, who I was wrong on last week, saying sit him versus the Cleveland Browns defense, which was supposed to be a top 1 defense coming in. I know Myles Garrett is hurt out there. But still, I mean, Devin Singletary, this is a smash matchup for him. You can absolutely plug him in as your RB2 this week, and he should give you 10 plus, possibly 15 points, and find the end zone again. The Cowboys really struggle versus the run. Cowboys side, man, it's a sea of red. Dalvin Cook's not even activated for the game. It will still be Rico and Zeke, and it has just been a rough going for the Dallas Cowboys run game all year. Something we alluded to in a bunch of our shows before, too, as well, as the linemen are gone from Dallas. They lost 2 stars in the offseason, and you can tell it is just eating them alive, guys. And the Dallas Cowboys are giving up 185 yards on the ground on defense. And it looks like a plus matchup for them, too. If you look at the Giants are ranked 23rd. They're giving up 131. But with the split, and we don't know what's going on in Dallas, I can't, with the right mind, say you should start any Dallas Cowboy running back this season as of right now. We have got the New England Patriots and Jacoby Brissett headed in to face the 49ers without the Avengers, it looks like, again this week here. So in this matchup right here, I mean, if you follow any of my content, I've been trying to say get out from Ramondre Stevenson now. I said it even before the Jets game. He has a absolutely brutal schedule coming ahead, and the game script that he had for his first 2 games saved his fantasy points and made people feel like they had a good running back, right? So now you look at a game with the Jets where they're down. His usage is completely down. They're 46%. I know he hurt his finger a little bit, whatever his pinky. Still, you weren't going to get any rushing yards. He only had 23 rush yards in the game. No receptions in the game. Now you get the 49ers defense. They thrive versus the pass on the running back. They're not going to be able to run up the middle at all. And even with Kittle, Debo, we don't know if they're going to be out there yet. Probably going to miss this game. I'm still not worried at all about Ramondre Stevenson and the Niners moving the football against the Patriots run defense. The Patriots are a middle tier defense right now versus the run, but they've had a very easy schedule. It's a different beast going up against Shanahan. It's going to be ugly here on the Patriots side this week. Jordan Mason should be a start. I had him as my RB1 last week, and the guy didn't find the end zone versus the worst Rams defense. Still put up 74 yards on the ground, but this should be another smash game right here against the Patriots. Like I should see 17 to 20 points here in fantasy, especially with, again, I call them the Avengers, the star-studded cast that's going to be out for the 49ers. This should be all systems go Jordan Mason. Like everything leads to another 20-point game here. If you look at the Patriots defense, it does rank 5th in rush yards. But again, like I've said, they've had a cakewalk schedule, and it's just going to be a different beast versus this offense. And I think Jordan Mason, I have him ranked as my RB4 this week. So I can't, am I going to miss twice in a row here? Possibly, but I don't see it coming. I think he's a smash play this week. The Denver Broncos are riding high off a big win against Tampa Bay, and they are headed into New York Jets Stadium this week, A-Rod's house now. And man, if you followed any of my content, Javonte Williams was a guy I was never drafting, was a guy you should have tried to trade after his garbage time week 2 spike against Pittsburgh. I mean, his yards per carry on the year, guys, is 2.2. It's absolutely atrocious. If I'm looking at it, 24 attempts for 54 yards. This is droppable at this point. Jaleel McLaughlin is a dart throw for me again, just like last week. He was a dart throw. I had him in yellow as well. I had Javonte on a sit. And Jaleel found the end zone. He's taking goal line touches away. He is the scat back. And you see this new little running back coming in as well. It doesn't look like Javonte Williams is going to be worth anything the rest of the season. I hope you guys listened and got rid of him when you could. Now, heading to the Jets side, this is an interesting game here because the Broncos' strength is their pass Ds. Number one, they hold teams 133 yards a game. Their weakness is their run game. But last week they got a perfect matchup, so it looks skewed, like their defense has gotten better versus the run. They played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's their weakness, is the run game. So it was an absolute smash, perfect matchup for the Broncos last week. Their defense still gives up 126 yards per game, but before they played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last week, it was at 160. So this is going to be a smash Breece Hall, and you could even flex Braylon Allen if you need to. I could see him falling in the end zone in this game because you're going to have Garrett Wilson locked up 100% with Patrick Surtain, who has locked up 3 superstar wide receivers already through 3 weeks. He's locked up DK, he's locked up Mike Evans, and he's locked up Pickens, and Garrett Wilson's in for a nightmare game here, and they're going to pound the run here. And I think that Breece and Braylon are both startable. Honestly, it's kind of crazy to say, but you can actually flex Braylon Allen this week. Monday Night Football, the Tennessee Titans are headed into the Miami Dolphins led by Skylar Thompson or Boyle or Hunley or whoever's going to be out there for quarterback for him. And this is going to be a smash play here for the Tennessee Titans. You're going to be able to play Tony Pollard at a full start RB2. And if you need a flex dart throw, you can throw out Tyjae Spears. He finally beat his projection for the first time last week. Although the coaching staff has said they're going to raise his snap share, that hasn't happened yet. It's still the Tony Pollard show. But if you're in desperation, I'm fine with the Tyjae Spears flex this week. And here's why. The Miami Dolphins are not going to be able to move the ball. The Tennessee Titans defense is very good. Last week was a weird outlier with Malik Willis running wild on him. You're not going to see any of the quarterbacks unless Huntley's out there, unless they put Snoop out there that could possibly run a little bit. But they're going to have more volume, more chances, more opportunities in this game. And Tony Pollard and Tyjae Spears. Tyjae Spears is not a smash start, but he is. You can dart throw him in there if you have injuries this week. On the Dolphins side here, Devon Achane should be a blow-up play here. The Tennessee Titans defense is weak versus the run, guys. They rank 20th. They allow 124 yards a game. They're strong versus the pass. And the Dolphins obviously aren't going to pass the ball with their quarterback situation right now. It's absolutely terrible. They got to do something about this, which is why they got Tua seeing all these doctors today. They need to either look at Tannehill, call Andrew Luck, call Brett Favre, get him out of fishing something. That's a joke, but it's really bad here. But Devon Achane last week, if you look at his numbers, it's going to look bad on paper. but he had about 55, I think 57 yards called back on 3 catches where they were 15, 20 yards for flags. He would have still had a 100-yard day. He's going to be the focal point of this offense the rest of the season either way. It was never going to be Raheem Mostert. Last year was a fluke of nature, man. I still can't believe it. I missed so bad on that last year. But Raheem Mostert's possibly going to play in this game coming off injury. It's Monday night. I wouldn't expect it to happen, especially with the situation they have going on right now. Jalen Wright saw limited touches. Jeff Wilson's still out there. It is the HN show all the way here, and he's a must-start running back every time you have him because he can game break and win you a week by himself anytime. The fraudulent 3-0 Seattle Seahawks are headed into the Detroit Lions for their first test on the season. And I say fraudulent because I'm a Niner fan and the Seahawks are 3-0 and I'm salty. And they've got to play Bo Nix, Jacoby Brissett, and Skylar Thompson in their 3 games. Come on. That's 3 easy wins. Now they get a real test. They're going up against a juggernaut, the Detroit Lions. Kenneth Walker now, this is, again, not official. I'm assuming he's going to be out there. Of course, if he's not, I would put Charbonnet in a yellow here because the Lions' run defense is actually very tough. But Walker was supposed to have a 2-game absence or multi-week absence, so we're at 2-week absence. I'm assuming he'll fight to be out there for this game. This is a big game, especially in NFC standings and everything like that for the playoff picture right here. So I'm assuming he's going to be out there. And if K-9 is out there, man, he looks so good in week 1. I'm starting him every time he's out there, even against the bad matchup. The Detroit Lions are 4th versus the run. They allow 76 yards a game, and it's going to be tough up front for Seattle as well in this matchup. Heading to the Detroit Lions side, this is just a tandem from hell, guys. Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery are absolutely destroying fantasy as a duo running back, and it's unbelievable. I mean, Jared Goff's touchdowns are down. They are pounding the run like crazy. And they're averaging like 17 fantasy points a game between the two of them over and over. They're both startable every single week. They cannot be stopped, and it's insane. Seattle, now here's like the fraudulent part I'm talking about. So this is going to be a full-blown Jahmyr Gibbs Montgomery game. When I look at Seattle's defense, they rank 15th right now. Sorry, it's a long video. Voice is getting hoarse. They rank 15th right now. They're giving up 116 yards per game, right? But like I said, let's remember now, they played against Skylar Thompson. They played against Jacoby Brissett, and they played against Bo Nix and Javonte Williams, okay? These numbers are skewed. Now they're playing a juggernaut. It's going to be an absolute smash game for the Lions, and I think the Lions absolutely run them over in this game. The Jacksonville Jaguars are headed to the Houston Texans this week, and this one's going to be tough because we don't know the injury updates yet. So I'm going to do the Texans first at home here. Joe Mixon is having a multiple week absence. We don't have any official update of what's going on. Could play this week, couldn't play this week. Then you have Dameon Pierce not practicing last week. He could play this week as well or not play. So I don't have Cam Akers' name up here, but again, I had Cam Akers as a start last week. He found the end zone even in a bad game script game where they were behind the whole time. So this is a plus matchup here for the Texans this time. So if Joe Mixon, you got to pay attention to the injuries here coming up this week and try and stash him right now if you can. Like if you can stash Dameon Pierce or Cam Akers this week, it's a very good play against Jacksonville. They just got ran out of the building versus the Bills, and their team is absolutely falling apart right now. And I had the Jags as like a bounce back game versus Buffalo, and they just did not. Now on the Jags side, ETN, man, you've seen his floor for 3 games in a row. This is not going to be a good game for him here. Houston is very good versus the run. They're one of the top run defenses in the league at number 7. They're averaging 97 yards a game. And they played some good teams here too. So they've been holding teams under 100 on the year. And that's not just, the running backs. That's all positions. So running quarterbacks, wide receiver sweep, stuff like that as well are factored into that. Now, he's only had 10, 13, and 10. So ETN's floor is solid. But you're not going to see the ceiling here in this game. But I still, if I'll take the 10 to 13 points, you still put him as a start, even though it's going to be a tough matchup. You paid the draft capital. You're not going to leave ETN on your bench this week. Sunday Night Football, the game of the week. The Buffalo Bills are headed into the Baltimore Ravens. And this is going to be the game that I cannot wait to see, guys. You're going to have James Cook, who's just been an absolute monster all year, in the top 5 of running backs right now. Ray Davis, of course, is going to be a handcuff. But I'm having James Cook in green here as a smash start for the receiving upside. Definitely not for the rushing upside here. The Ravens are number 1 versus the run, allowing 50 yards a game. That is lights out. The Ravens are very weak versus the pass. They're the worst at the pass. So 32nd in the pass, first in the run. I expect James Cook to eat a lot of catches out the backfield here, especially in this game. Heading over to the Baltimore Ravens side, Derrick Henry is going to be a smash start for me here as well. Absolutely popped off on the Cowboys last week. And Justice Hill is an interesting flex play if you need one here. I mean, his floor is about 5 to 6 points. He's playing 50% of the snaps, and the game's script wasn't good last week. So he still saw enough work where he can get 6 points. So if you have an injury that's happened, this game will be more of a high shootout game where they'll use him more in the pass game as well, to save Henry for goal line carries and probably the ending plot of the game, however the score goes. But Justice Hill is an okay play. He's actually been splitting timeshare with him, which is crazy to me. And the Buffalo Bills defense, I know they gave up garbage time points, to Travis Etienne when they were up 20 points last week. So that kind of, skews the way their defense looks, but it's been very good. They've been 16th versus the run. You could say, it was a little higher before because they got pounded at the end, but still that's decent enough here for Derrick Henry to eat in this game. And all they got to do is get to the goal line. King Henry's going to punch one in. The Cleveland Browns, I don't know what's going on here, are headed into the Las Vegas Raiders, and we don't know what's going on here either. So in this game, I am going to put Jerome Ford as a smash start this week. The Las Vegas Raiders are 29th versus the run. They're giving up 152 yards a game. And look what Chuba Hubbard and the Carolina Panthers just did to him last week, right? This is going to be an absolute smash play for Jerome Ford. Deonta Foreman was an afterthought after the week 2 weird snap spike. And Jerome Ford should be a 70+% snap player here and get over at least 10 to 15 points in this game versus a very, very injured Raider defense right now. On the Raiders side, I'm done. I'm done talking about him. I'm done riding the train. I was super high on Zamir White coming into this season, and it just looks like the Raiders are not. I don't understand what's going on. I've never understood the snap share. You saw Coach Speak Index and Antonio Pierce go out there and say, we're going to feed him 20 carries next week versus Carolina. He saw 22% of the snaps, 10 carries, 34 yards. Absolute trash. 9 carries, 24 yards before that. 13 carries. He hasn't even touched 15 carries on the season. He's only averaging 3.19 yards per carry. It is very ugly for the Las Vegas Raiders and the Cleveland Browns defense. It doesn't get any better this week. I mean, they get a top 13 run D. They average 100 yards a game. This is going to be a very, very tough game here for the Raiders. But something to keep your eye on if in your league, maybe Nick Chubb is on your wire right now because he's on IR. He looks like he may be coming back week 5. We don't have any updates yet, but it's time to start stashing the guy. The Andy Dalton revenge game is here. The Cincinnati Bengals are headed into the Carolina Panthers, and this is the all-green running back as RB2 stardoms this week, which is absolutely crazy to me. You wouldn't think that at the beginning of the season, but we're here now. Zach Moss absolutely popped off versus the Washington Commanders, but so does every single running back. But there is something to talk about here with Chase Brown. So Chase Brown may have been dropped to your waiver wires after a slow week 1 and 2. Possibly someone didn't pick him up, heading into week 3 here, or week 4 here. And Chase Brown finally erupted. Still on minimal snaps, so he has nothing to be like, oh, I'm going to pick this guy up like it's substantial, right? This is just a stash play. He hasn't played over 35% of the snaps yet, but he does have his first game over projection. He had 8 points, and he had 7 carries for 62 yards, almost averaging 9 yards a carry. He looked explosive. Something to keep your eye on. I don't have him as a stardom or a safe flex play yet. Don't go that far yet. Now, this side was crazy. Heading over to the Panthers, man, I called that Andy Dalton would pop off. I called that Deontay Johnson would pop off. I did not think that Chuba Hubbard would go for 27 fantasy points and have 160 total yards in the game. What happened? Andy Dalton is that good that opened the offense up this well for Dave Canales. Absolutely amazing showing. And look at what happened to the Bengals. This is going to be another smash play here for Chuba. You can absolutely lock him into your lineup as an RB2 this week. The Bengals are also very bad versus the run, just like the Panthers. They average 142 yards a game. They're ranked 26th. Both these defenses are weak versus the run. This is going to be a smash running back game. Like I said, the all-green game here. Miles Sanders, look, they should probably try to trade this guy at this point. Maybe the Cowboys could use him or something because Jonathan Brooks, we just got the update. Week 5 may be his return here. Might be his debut for the NFL. But another thing to deal with him, he shouldn't be on your waiver wire. But if he is for some reason, and you're like a 10-man or 8-man league or something like that, go stash Jonathan Brooks right now because it looks like his debut may be coming sooner rather than later. Woo! The game I cannot wait to see, the 2 speedy running backs going at it. The Washington Commanders have found their man in JD5. Man, did he look good. They are headed to the Arizona Cardinals this week. And this is a double smash running back green play again here. Brian Robinson Jr. is now going to be the full running back out there. If you can go buy this guy before this week, now would be your time, guys. Because Brian Robinson Jr. has been averaging 15 fantasy points a game on 60% of the snaps. So now, without the split share, Austin Eckler has been ruled out with the concussion. You're going up against the Arizona Cardinals defense, which ranks 19th versus the run. They're allowing 123.3 yards per game, and they're about to get ripped apart, man. Look what Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery did to them. This is going to be a Brian Robinson feast game, even though Jaden Daniels has unlocked the pass with Terry McLaurin too. The points are going to be flying. This can be a high-scoring, electric QB game. I cannot wait to see. Heading to the Cardinals side, you got James Conner and Zach Moss just destroyed this team. What do you think James Conner is going to do here? The Washington Commanders defense ranks 17th versus the run, allowing 121 yards a game. And James Conner, you're probably going to have no Trey McBride because of concussion. Again, we don't know yet, but usually, quote unquote, in the NFL, they make you sit out a week after concussion, just protocol rules. So you're probably going to see even a bigger workload of James Conner and Marvin Harrison in this game. And man, it is going to be points flying like crazy. I'm taking the over. I'm taking all the yards, all the guys in the props. I love this game as a smash, high-scoring game, and I cannot wait to watch it. The Kansas City Chiefs are headed into the absolutely beat-up Los Angeles Chargers this week. And man, I would love to put Carson Steele on a smash green here, which I think he's flexible play, but I'm going to put him in yellow because I don't know how it's going to look with Kareem Hunt coming out there. I knew that Samaje Perine was not going to be the guy. I never bought into that. And you still have Pacheco out with the fibula. But I have to get into why I might like him a lot more than I normally do with Carson Steele here. So the Chargers are down 2 starting linemen in Slater and Joe Alt, their superstar rookie they drafted. Joey Bosa is beat up. Herbert is beat up. And do you think they're really going to move the ball against the Chiefs defense with all these injuries? I mean, I have J.K. Dobbins on a sit. Gus is almost droppable. And honestly, if anything happens to J.K. Dobbins, I'd be looking to get Kamani Vidal here because Gus just looks terrible. But the possessions that the Chiefs will see here could be enough volume for Carson Steele to see 25 touches in this game if he's going to be the guy. I mean, I know that Kareem Hunt is free agent out of nowhere, but the updates are already looking weird. I mean, Carson Steele has been the guy in camp. He's the fan favorite. He should be the guy that gets 20 touches here. But again, I don't know. I don't know how it's going to look. I want to say smash Carson Steele because the opportunities are going to be massive in this game. Even though the Charger defense is decent, they are missing Bosa as well. So, I mean, this could be all systems green here. I'm willing to take the risk at flex, but I'm not confident enough to stay RB2 because I just don't know what's going to happen with Hunt and how it's going to look with the weird updates that are coming. But J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, I am not starting at all. I hope you sold high on J.K. Dobbins when I said in week 2 because it's just going to get worse from here. The New Orleans Saints are headed into Hotlanta to take on the Falcons. And man, the Falcons and Bijan Robinson just cannot catch a break with the defenses they play in the run game. But we'll get to that in a second here. On the Saints side, this should be an all-smash Alvin Kamara game. I know you saw the updates earlier that saying he's limited with the injuries. Don't be worried about that. It's Wednesday, guys. He'll be fine. I see panic already happening on Twitter and everybody, oh, wow, what to do with Alvin Kamara? He's going to be all right. He's going to be out there. Don't worry. Now, the Atlanta Falcons are 27th versus the run, 150.3 yards given up a game. Now, I firmly don't believe that is just, the Falcons defense being bad, guys. They've had just an unreal gauntlet of matchups. They had the Pittsburgh Steelers, a 3-0, very tough defense, the Philadelphia Eagles, then the Kansas City Chiefs. So when you're looking at it, it looks like their defense is bad versus the run, which I still like Alvin Kamara, especially in the passing game. But their defense is starting to gel, man. They just need to get out of this gauntlet of tough matchups they have. They even have Tampa Bay next. So, I mean, they haven't even really had a free game yet. But I'm still going to put Alvin Kamara as a smash start. He's the number 2 running back in fantasy football. Absolute steal of the draft. One of my main targets that I talked about in thousands of videos. I hope you grabbed him as well. Heading to Bijan Robinson. And like I said, you're starting Bijan Robinson, but you're going up against the Saints here, guys. The Saints' run D is damn good. They allow 99 yards a game in total. They're 9th versus the run. And you saw Saquon explode at 22 miles an hour and hit the Jets on a breakaway run. But besides that, Saquon was bottled up. So, I mean, Bijan looks amazingly electric this year. I hate that Tyler Algier has more red zone touches than him. That's very weird. I saw that from my guy PPR Fantasy Tips on Twitter, by the way. You should check him out if you don't. Great content. But, of course, you're starting Bijan, and, of course, you're starting Kamara. But I feel like it's going to be a lower scoring game than people think, kind of like the Philly Saints game where it's 15-12, an ugly game. because I really think that Falcons defense is coming together and gelling nicely. The Los Angeles Rams, coming off a huge win against the San Francisco 49ers last week with a decimated team, is now headed into Soldier Field to take on Caleb Williams and the non-existent Bears run game. So with Kyren Williams, I had him as a smash start last week. The Blake Corum truthers have gone quiet across the board since the start of the year. I told you Blake Corum would be a handcuff. He is not going to touch Kyren Williams' job. He's honestly droppable at this point unless you're playing a handcuff game. And if you get the Rams, if anything happens to Kyren Williams, you get a 90% workhorse back. That's how Sean McVay coaches, and that's what Kyren Williams is going to be when he's out there. And whenever he's out there, you're starting this man no matter who he's going up against. He is CMC good. It's very weird. Heading to the Bears side, dude. DeAndre Swift, I've had people ask me if he's droppable today on Twitter. This is a 5th-round draft pick in your fantasy draft that is already droppable. It sounds crazy. I'm not saying drop him. I'm definitely saying hold. The schedule gets very nice here for the Bears. But you also just got the update today that Roschon Johnson is going to be more involved. So I'm putting DeAndre Swift on a sit-em just based off of how bad he's been. And that was a very, very plus matchup last week versus the Colts. He should have smashed. Like, I had him as a must start. He was an absolute miss. I thought that he was going to play better. He had 13 carries, guys, for 20 yards. In week 1, he had 10 for 30. In week 2, he had 14 for 18. I don't know what he's doing, scurrying behind the line, not seeing the holes, not going north and south. But, man, it doesn't look good for DeAndre Swift owners right now. And honestly, we were talking about Roschon at the beginning of the season. I wanted him to be the starter, and dude, I hope he gets it right here. I hope he gets rolling right here, because Roschon, if you didn't pick him up, now is the time. In case your league didn't pay attention to today's update, that he may be the starter this week. Khalil Herbert, they should trade this guy. This is like a Miles Sanders situation. You don't need to carry 3 running backs. They should honestly send him to the Cowboys and see what happens over there. Anywhere with the injury or something that happens like that. But I'm not starting DeAndre Swift. The 3-0 Pittsburgh Steelers are headed into the Indianapolis Colts this week, and this, guys, is going to be a Najee Harris absolute smash game here. You get the Indianapolis Colts. Their defense ranks 31st. It's allowing 180 yards versus the rush on the season. 180 yards. Pittsburgh Steelers offensive line got way better in the offseason through the draft. They have a top 10 offensive line. They should be pushing them around like rag dolls in this game. And the way I look at this as well is this is the Steelers' first defense they get to play that's like a plus matchup all year. They went at Atlanta. They went versus Denver, the number 1 pass defense. They went at the Chargers, the number 1 overall, or versus the Chargers, the number 1 overall defense last week. Now they get their first glimpse of like a minute to breathe, and every Steeler should smash here. The report on Jaylen Warren, the MRI was clean, I guess, but he didn't practice today, and I'm assuming that, again, this isn't official. I'm assuming that if you get an MRI, you're not going to be playing that week. But again, we don't know. But even if he's out there, I assume that he'd be limited off, off an MRI that's happening. This should be the Najee Harris show. Maybe you'll see a little Cordell Patterson there mixed in, but they should trample over the Colts run defense 100%. Heading to the Colts side, I'm done doubting him. I took JT last week as a sit-em, and I was like, oh yeah, maybe the Chicago Bears defense will hold Jonathan Taylor. Sorry, I had a little messed up with the colors there. No, Jonathan Taylor is a superstar. I'm not doing that again. But man, look at this matchup here, right? You get the Steelers defense, which is allowing 70 rush yards per game. The Steelers defense is one of probably the best defenses I've seen in a long time all around. Pass, linebackers, zone coverage, safeties up top. Absolutely a nuts defense, guys. And if I'm looking at all the points, like think about every game they played, right? They gave up 1 touchdown to Quentin Johnston on kind of a busted, across the middle play where he was wide open and the defense got confused on the coverage. Besides that, no one's found the end zone. Anthony Richardson has really been struggling. I had him on a sit-em last week. I have him as a major sit-em this week. I don't like anything versus Steelers defense, but if there's one man that can do it, it's Jonathan Taylor. And if you pay the draft capital, you're not sitting him anyway, especially off a monster game. But I am kind of tempering the Jonathan Taylor points this week because his defense is for real, guys. Aaron Jones' revenge game is here. The Minnesota Vikings are headed to the Green Bay Packers in a huge division rivalry game and a huge playoff seeding game for the NFC at the same time, with the Vikings being 3-0, which I can't believe, and the Packers being 2-1. Now, with Aaron Jones, I'm done doubting the guy. I put him on a sit-him last week. I completely missed that by a mile. But all signs pointing to the Texans' run D being good, and they got ran out the building. And he only did it on 60% of the snaps, too, which is even crazier. So he had 19 for 102. He even had 50 through the air. It was an unbelievable performance from Aaron Jones. I'm still worried, that he's 29 years old heading into age 30. But, man, if he's out there and healthy and playing, he's pretty much a start every single week at this point. I mean, 20 points, 9 points, 25 points. You're starting this guy. I'm still just worried, though. But if I own Aaron Jones, I definitely want to own Ty Chandler as a handcuff. Like I just said, his injury history is very scary. And he's older, man. He's got 5 MCL injuries to his right leg only. He has a bunch of injuries to his right leg as well. Lower shin, upper thigh, all on one leg. So it's very scary. But, man, he looks really good when he's out there. And the Vikings are for real. Heading to the Packers side, Marshawn Lloyd done for the year. I shouldn't even have him up there. Should be Emmanuel Wilson. But I don't like him as a start, even though he popped off last week. It was very weird for Wilson to have a big game instead of Jacobs. But on the Josh Jacobs side now, it looks like we're getting Jordan Love back here. So the update just hit that he was close to suiting up in week 3. I'm assuming like 90% that he's suiting up for week 4. So you can elevate every single Packers player there is now that your superstar quarterback is back. And this is a huge game. And the only thing I'm worried about here is the Vikings blitz at a 60% rate, and they create sacks like it's crazy. So I don't want Jordan Love to get hurt in this game. I mean, I think they got the 2 wins with Malik Willis. I would like them to hold him out one more, but I get the relevance of this game. So it's big time, season, everything. Like I said, playoffs, division, everything. He needs to be out there for this game. And I can't wait to see it. And both these running backs are smash starts for me this week. Last but not least, had to save my favorite running back, Saquon Barkley, for the end. The Philadelphia Eagles are taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and just get your popcorn ready, man. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense ranks 25th versus the run, giving up 140 yards a game, and they have not seen an offensive line like this or a running back like this all season long. Saquon Barkley is my number 1 running back heading into the week. He's going to go ballistic here. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense also allows the most receptions to a running back on the season. This is going to be an absolute 20-point burner. There's no A.J. Brown possibly. There's no Devonta Smith that didn't practice today. You had a concussion for Devonta, so he's probably going to be out. And A.J. had a multiple-week absence, and their bye is next week. So I don't see them even playing him either here in this game. They are going to put the load on the back of Saquon Barkley, and he is going to feast in this game. Absolute smash, number 1 running back. Gonna even make his lead bigger on the number 1 status this week. Now, heading over to the Tampa Bay side here. So we get an update that Bucky Irving is going to be more involved in the game, right? So if I have Rachaad White and Bucky Irving, I don't know what to do here because the first game with the timeshare happening, you're going to be like, how do I maneuver this? How do I start this, right? So I said last week that Alvin Kamara is going to struggle versus the run versus Philly, and he did. He thrived in the pass game. Tampa struggles to run the ball, and Philly's run D is kind of bottom of the barrel, 24th, but they played a very tough schedule as well to go with it. So I'd temper that to like 100 yards a game when they get an average type team. And look what Denver just did to this team, right? So if I own them, I'm okay possibly flexing one if you have an injury, but I have Rachaad White on my major sit-em. And if I was going to flex either one of them, it'd be Bucky Irving. But again, I don't love it because I want to see how it plays out first. Bucky looked like Barry Sanders, though, with that 5-yard run. Made like 7 guys miss to get 5 yards, reminded me exactly of Barry Sanders. And I want to see him get the full job, and I just don't know what to do with the timeshare here, so I'm going to leave them both on a sit-em. And Saquon Barkley is my number 1 running back. You take every prop on, you take every bet on, you take everything on. He's going over it all. That is the end of episode 68, everybody. Thanks for rocking with me today. That was my running back, stardom, sit-em, every single matchup for week 4. And guys, before we head out, I will be doing my wide receiver video next. Make sure you smash that like, turn that bell on, hit that subscription button. And if you can't make any of our live videos, guys, we'll be live from Thursday to Monday, helping you guys with everything you need. My co-host, Big Draft Energy, who I shouted out at the beginning. Shout out to him again. He goes through a lot of research. He sends me a lot of stuff that helps me do my videos as well. Takes you 1 second. Go over, click it. I will put his link in the description in the video also. Shout out to my guy. Thank you for all the help there as well. And if you guys can't make any of the live videos, guys, we'll be live Thursday to Monday. Make sure that you have a comment. You smash it in there. Any fantasy football thing does not have to pertain to this video. I am here to help you win your weekly matchup and get you that ultimate goal of that fantasy football championship. And that's it for me, man. My wide receiver video will be next. SleezBall out.